All right, you know you're in trouble when you bring out mommy to go on Fox News and beg President Trump, please hire my son, please. And that is exactly what is happening with Pete Hegseth's nomination to be Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense. Pete Hegseth's mom, Penelope, or we might know her just as Penny, went on Fox and Friends this morning and makes a direct appeal to Donald Trump. Stick by my boy. Now, I don't know how those who want us to believe that they are the ultimate alphas who take personal responsibility for their actions and blah, 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 are well served, or that that's compatible with when your nomination is hanging by a thread, having your mom go out and defend you. I think it's great that Pete's mom, I guess, likes him, even though she wrote those emails saying he's an abuser and a horrible person. I guess it's good. Most of the time, you would expect that mommy would say, my son's a very good boy and you should hire him. But actually putting her out there to make the case that your nomination that's going south very quickly shouldn't is a little weird. It's a little weird. But here's Penny making the case to Trump.
But we are broken by your behavior and your lack of character. Mm-hmm. When you wrote that, what's the backstory? What was going on that made you so angry you wanted to write that?
Well, I will tell that story in a moment, but let me make two statements first, and one is to President Trump.
And by the way, for people if it matters to you, Penny has a very large cross necklace displayed. So she is a Christian, and that may be a factor here in terms of evaluating stuff about her or her son, or I don't know. I guess maybe some people would care about that, she thinks, by proudly displaying it.
And I want to say thank you for your belief in my son. We all believe in him. We really believe that he is not that man he was 7 years ago. I'm not that mother. And I hope people will hear that story today.
Can you imagine? The guy that my son was at 37 bears no resemblance to the guy he is at 44. Everything I excoriated him for at 37 is null and void, and now he should be in charge of the Pentagon.
And the truth of that story. So the other thing I want to say is I am here to tell the truth.
Right.
To tell the truth to the American people and tell the truth to the senators on the Hill, right, especially our female senators. I really hope that you will not listen to the media, right, and that you will listen to Pete.
There you go. This is sort of like the thing Trump does about how his kids are good kids when they're in legal trouble. It's like they're 45 years old. Wait, they're good kids. Don't just leave them alone. So this move just reeks of panic. As I told you earlier, multiple Republican senators openly questioning, is this a guy we're really going to support? Trump's favorite Fox News warrior is in trouble. And it's touching that Penny believes in her son's redemptive arc. But this is not a Hallmark movie. This is, should we put a guy in charge of the Pentagon and the Defense Department and the military? And should we have to listen to mommy to figure out whether he's the right guy? Here is Penny going full MAGA, attacking the media, of course.
It was a difficult time. I want to say something about the media. Yeah. And part of today is to discredit the media and how they operate. When they contact you, I let a few phone calls go, but then they call you and say they threaten you. That's the first thing they do. Right. They say, unless you make a statement.
So she's claiming she's been threatened by the media.
We will publish it as is. And I think that's a despicable way to.
By the way, this is also called being given the opportunity to comment. Now, you may not like it, or you may like it, but the idea that she was threatened, what it sounds like she's saying is media outlets reached out and said, we have this letter. If we don't get a comment, we will just publish the letter. Or you can also provide a comment. She calls that a threat.
Treat anyone. Threats are dangerous, and they're hard on families.
So to recap, you were angry about what was going on, his behavior during the divorce.
Right.
And so you wrote that email. And then, a couple hours later, you apologized. And you
For
guys
some of the
talked
words,
and you
yes.
worked it out?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Pete and I are very close today. In fact,
I like how she looks right into the camera. So this isn't just about Pete Hegseth or Penny. This is emblematic of the MAGA playbook. Loyalty and spin are what matter. Accountability doesn't matter. The Hegseths aren't refuting the allegations. They're reframing them. They're saying, I wrote something, I was mad, we figured it out. He was 37, now he's 44. And they're kind of counting on Trump's tendency to reward loyalty over character, even though now there's resurfaced videos of Pete Hegseth criticizing Donald Trump. So here is the final clip. And again, Penny is telling us 7 years ago, Pete was a totally different guy.
Right.
and I think the senators need to listen.
Do you worry, Penny, though, that, Donald Trump's trying to hit the ground running,
Of course.
in less than 50 days, and the Pete Hegseth stuff has become a distraction?
To a degree, but I think it can be overcome. I think people need to
That's why I'm here, Steve.
listen to him, get to know him, not the Pete from 7 years ago,
Right?
but the Pete of today.
Right.
One of the funniest things about all of this is the idea of these complete and total turnarounds. It's everywhere with MAGA. 68 years Trump was pro-choice. And then months before becoming a candidate for the Republican nomination, he became pro-life. And we're supposed to believe that. We've talked about Dave Rubin, 40 years on the American political left. And then all of a sudden he's on the right, and it just happens to coincide with buckets of money that are coming in. There's endless examples. And now with Pete Hegseth, we're supposed to believe the abuser, the horrible person, the despicable mistreater of women for 37 years. Not that he was a mistreater of women for 37 years, but well into his adult life. Irrecognizable guy from 44-year-old Pete Hegseth. Just completely different people. Now, will this resonate with Trump? I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe mommy's appeal will resonate with Trump because he does value family loyalty or the appearance of it. But is it going to be enough to sway the skeptical 6 Republican senators who can single-handedly torpedo this nomination? That's not super clear. If the best defense for Pete is his mom saying he's no longer at 44 the guy he was at 37, that raises a lot of questions about whether this is the person who should have one of the most critical jobs in the country. There are 2 big problems with the cheap plastic disposable razors. 2/3 of people have skin irritation, and then over 2 billion plastic razors enter our landfills in the United States alone. Now, our sponsor, Henson Shaving, solves both problems. With the plastic disposable razors, you have unstable blades wobbling around as you shave, which causes the irritation. It's like if you were cutting something with scissors or a knife and the blade is wiggling. That's what's happening to your face with the cheap razors. So here's the solution. Razors produced by Henson have a blade that extends only 0.0013 inches past the shave plane. And that means no blade movement, more comfort before and after shaving. This is something only Henson can offer because of their precision manufacturing shop that also makes aerospace parts. Plus, the only part that you replace is the blade itself. The razor will last you a lifetime. Better for your wallet, much better for the planet. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that will last you a lifetime. Go to hensonshaving.com/DavidP to pick the razor for you and use code DavidP to get a free shave cream with your razor. Just remember to add the shave cream to your cart. The link is in the description.